Good morning, viewers. Welcome to the 11th podcast, a special edition for the 25th anniversary of Chlorophyll. Today, we have an extremely colorful personality, a veritable sage in the corporate world. I'm happy that we are going to learn a lot from Mr. LC Singh, fondly called as LC by his friends. Feel free to type out your questions uh, in the uh, messages sector below, and we'll make sure that we answer those questions in the remarks below. uh, I'm going to request you to indulge me because I have known LC since 1991 when he was on TCS, and then when he was in Zensar, and we have worked on brands since then. I was also very privileged to be one of the first people to know when he was setting up Nihilent, the company that is currently a powerhouse in technology and corporate transformation with representations in 15 cities around the world. And sure enough, when given his philosophical background, when we created in Chlorophyll, when we created the launch audiovisual for him, it had the soundtrack of Adi Shankaracharya's Atma Shatakam, one of the most famous shlokas on Advaita philosophy. 7 years ago, LC personally repurposed it, and it went to win a Cannes Award. So you can see the kind of creative entity he is. One more proof of that is I don't know anybody else in technology who has personally scripted and produced a feature film. So enough about LC from me. LC, why don't you talk about yourself?
Thank you, Kiran. It's a pleasure. And there's not much to talk about me actually, because in my mind, I'm nothing but intentionality just to be and
Okay.
experience things, which I've been very lucky to experience every emotion almost in extreme, which is a great experience. And then, right from a very remote village and schooling in and sitting on the on the floor and writing with the
Great.
that pen and uh,
Chalk and
the
slate.
correct, and on the blackboard, um, and then going right up to the Harvard and IIT. That was certainly a chance. And then also, we are not very rich to the extent that when I had to buy a 9 anam pen, which is equivalent
Wow.
about 76 paisa, then I had to cry and get it from my grandmother who loaned, and then I went and bought and happily lost it on the way. And imagine the tragedy. From that to have a nice collection of Mont Blanc pens, which I don't
Wow.
write, just to amends that, that I have done that. And also, right from folk music to, the London Symphony, got the opportunity, traveled from that remote village to almost every part of the world, met, from my villagers to almost every culture and all kind of human experiences. So very lucky, I feel. And I think it's life worth. And one more belief that I don't, the purpose of making the movie was that I wanted to show to the people that there's not much difference between life and death. Because
Wow.
there's no you in the first place. It's just an intentionality. So we attach too much to our ego and fear. And if that is shed, then there's no difference between living and dead. Not too much of difference, a blur. And that's
Beautiful.
what the movie actually is all about.
Beautiful, beautiful. So
So that's all.
you are also a accomplished and award-winning photographer, right?
That is true. Yeah.
Especially for
I do
wildlife.
enjoy this.
That's a fantastic another fourth dimension to your personality. So, Elsie, given this deep understanding of spirituality, intentionality, tell us a little bit about even the brand name, because I don't know anybody else who thinks about the brand name so much. So there is a reason why you chose Nihilent and
Correct.
told me about it in that first meeting in Worli.
Yeah. So nihil actually in Latin means nothing,
Okay.
literally. And in my mind, the Shakti, the power, comes actually from nothingness,
Okay.
because uh, there has to be something to power everything else. And uh, therefore, I said that whatever you are doing, essentially, the origin of it is from nothingness.
Right.
So that's why, and the technology, especially, we are dealing with, you can't be seen. They are always in a form of unseen objects, which are making
Beautiful.
the world dance now. And therefore, you said nihilent, meaning the technologies which remain in nihilence. You can't see them, but they will make
Beautiful.
everything happen. And that's why we chose at that time nihilent technologies, which later, for other reasons, we
Yeah.
dropped technologies and said Nihilent Limited.
Correct. Correct. And there is this big insight about the logo. The logo has an
Yeah.
egg
So
in a
the
fruit.
logo basically, because the connection between and that, thanks to the chlorophyll and their creative geniuses, they said that the only connection you can find between nothingness to where you are can only be the egg, because egg is a potentiality to be,
Correct. Correct. Correct.
essentially, and therefore, and if you see closely the logo, there's a human face and
Yes.
symbolizing where we are today. So
Correct.
from
Correct.
nothingness to where we are. That's
Yeah.
what the
And
and
yes.
the
And we
byline
have,
was evolving ideas.
yes.
Essentially, the ability to see the future from the
Correct.
current,
Correct.
and you must evolve continuously. Hence the
Correct.
change.
Yeah. And we had that insight that time we discussed that an egg that is broken from outside leads to
Correct,
destruction,
absolutely.
and the egg
Yeah,
that
you
is
wrote a
broken.
beautiful piece which is hanging in my
Yes.
corporate actually
Yes.
boardroom.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. So the I think the evolving ideas came from because the Greek word idea, the root of the word idea means to see, and that is what you were saying, that the ability
correct.
to see the future. So I'll see the second thing is the what we want to learn from you is you have been through this entire journey from TCS, where it was technology was seen only as an efficiency enhancer, to today, where technology is seen as a strategic tool. And therefore, you have this very clear understanding of the interaction between human beings and technology. And therefore, what Nihilent talks today is about humanizing technology. So, can you spend a couple of minutes on this change of the role of technology from where it was to now?
See, initially, current was never seen as a change agent. Technology was for that means there are processes, there are way company functions. Can you do a little bit to make it more efficient? Essentially replace uh, some of the humans who make errors and replace it by a machine which doesn't make error, does it faster, does it consistently better and more accurately, and do that. And that continues till about 90s, basically.
Right,
90s meaning beginning of 90. And then
right,
slowly it started coming into the fore that to be used as a competitive advantage, knowing
right,
more about the customer, engaging with the customers. So, the full customer view, all that started coming, and then suddenly it became more important. And as it became more important, so the role of the IT came to the boardroom in form of CIOs, and the whole
right, right,
designation started changing, and they became very important uh, kind of piece of the top management.
right, right,
And with the internet coming, essentially, it became ubiquitous. Everybody has access today, especially. But it was very clear that even in late 90s, with the advent of the internet, you saw the valuation of the companies. It was not
correct.
on the current earnings, but on the future. So they could
Future,
see,
yes,
yeah, because if everyone is connected and has access to the same thing that the technologists have, then they suddenly get more empowered than you as a company are. So they can
yeah,
demand. Till now, you were pushing things to them, and the poor
ah,
fellows didn't have much choice. Now,
beautiful,
it's their world now. They can choose you, throw you out, and if you're not following them, then it is your funeral.
beautiful,
And therefore, the topmost companies, we have seen it. I don't want to name them, but it's world known. The top IT company, top, let's say, computer company, is nowhere in the horizon.
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
someone like Apple, if you see now, they introduce iTunes, put Sony's Walkman, Discman out of business.
yes.
Okay, and they introduce a whole creation of the iTunes and the ubiquitousness of the music distribution, and
Right,
yet
right.
they lose to someone like Spotify, uh, at least in the competition. So
Correct.
anybody who blinks in understanding what is changing is up for a risk and can just go extinct.
Yes, yes.
Therefore, now that's why the evolution of the design thinking, which was very private and limited to you guys, you are very interesting and all, it's become mandatory for us now. So we
And
are also now training people,
absolutely
active research, understanding what customers want, and therefore the competitive strategy is now defined by the customer and
beautiful.
not the company. That is the difference.
Very insightful. LC, remember we also discuss the startling similarity between the word internet and Indra's net. Indra's net as a Buddhist philosophy which says that in Indra's mahal there is a
Correct.
net where every single blob, every single bubble, every single orb is reflected in every other orb, and that was the
Absolutely.
perfect definition of internet. So that
No, no,
it's
absolutely. And that the whole shloka Purnamida Purnamidam.
yeah, that is emerged from that. So LC,
Absolutely.
you are right. So one was an efficiency enhancer. Then it was the moment it became pull, when it went into the hands of the user, it became something that the company's people demanded or the customers demanded. Now we are on the edge of AI. Uh, you and I discussed Ray Kurzweil's prediction
Yes.
that by 2029, there will be no difference between AI and human intelligence. But you have a specific take on AI. Tell us about that.
See, we do hear about artificial intelligence, but you are referring only to intelligence, which means that you are only saying that you are replicating my intelligence, which means you can do what I do with uh, with more accuracy, more kind of vigor, and consistently you can deliver, basically. But you cannot feel like me. That is the difference. And if you
Good.
don't feel like me, then you don't understand my feeling, and therefore it becomes what is typically called robotic. So robots remain robot. But
Right.
the idea in my mind was that why would they not cannot become emotionally intelligent even if they can't feel? So I'm saying,
Very
given the same access, like you and I are talking, you can see me and you can see me to some extent what's going on in my mind. Am I
correct.
happy? Am I sad? Am I angry? And so on. Now, same accessibility given to a machine, it should be able to tell what you are feeling. Forget about its own feeling. So it's a calculable, therefore. When you see a drama, you move,
Your
essentially.
move.
So
Yes.
that movement I can program. I may not feel, but I can program the feeling.
That's
Okay.
very, very different.
Therefore, I started looking for to make the robo basically uh, to understand my feeling,
Right,
okay,
right,
which will
right.
give it a totally different dimension. But
Correct.
also the negative, if it can manipulate you. That means
Yes.
it starts making you hear what you want to hear. Okay,
Yes.
that's the potential of it, and
Yeah.
that's the fascinating topic. But
Yeah.
that's where then we started looking, and we created about 5 years it took to understand research, and there were research done by MIT and others, but
Okay.
there are very, in my mind, sorry, no comments on MIT. The research was great when it was done, but it was based on basically the very superficial way of looking at you. So if I like a typical steward, stewardess walks in, happy to see you, kind of a welcome here, without meaning it, then it will say she was very happy. But
Yes.
that's not happiness. So the
Correct. Correct.
idea is to detect what's actually going on in your mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So this
your face is a reflection of it, and we needed to capture that.
so that brings us segues this conversation beautifully, LC, into that brilliant new thing that you have created called Emoscape. I believe it is based on the world's oldest treatise of Natya Shastra. Just tell us that fascinating journey, how you got the method actors, how you got those 72 points or 77 points. What is that?
75 points.
75 points. Just
So
tell
let
us that.
me,
Very fascinating. Yeah.
yeah. So basically, the problem, Kiran, was that um, all this body language and everything is fine, but it's like Hastareka Vigyan. You know, there are generic things you talk about, and people feel
Correct.
good. As
Correct.
long as they feel good, they believe you.
Correct.
That's the basic things you're talking about. Even this faith reader, that's what they do.
Yeah.
They will hardly tell you that your bad luck is coming unless they want to scare you. So the idea was we started thinking, how do I get against which? How do I train the computer? Because in order for to understand the emotion, it must have a norm that what is that emotion, and in a normal face, what does each one represent? Like what kind of face it will be if I'm laughing, if I'm happy, or if I'm sad, if I'm reflecting, all those emotions. 9 emotions is what we deal with. And
That nine emotions also comes from ancient Indian wisdom, right?
yeah,
Navrasa.
9 emotions comes only from there. In fact,
Right.
in psychiatry, it's only 6 emotions.
Oh,
They are basically clubbed together. So we are far more, I'm saying our Natya Shastra was far more elaborate.
right.
So
Right.
we clubbed some of them and made them one. So I said that if we are going through, I must look at the 9 emotions.
Correct.
And I looked at some of the movies, then Navagraha based Sanjeev Kumar and Shivaji
Yeah.
Ganeshan and others had played. And then I realized, okay, that these guys, you have to be extraordinary actor to be able to play 9 emotions. Not everybody. Some plays tragedy, some does comedy, and so on. Now, so I started looking at the method actors. Now, method actors, what they do? What do they do? They look at like if you are acting in our own movie. Um, there is an actor who is playing the cancer patient's role, where is the doctor. So now, if you are suffering with lung cancer, you have to feel what the lung cancer kind of a patient
Wow.
feels. We
Wow.
spent 7 days with cancer patient in Lilavati Hospital to
Wow.
understand how they talk in the last stage of cancer. So
Incredible.
it was not enough to know about it, but feel about it. So when he was acting, he was feeling that patient. And it is the only reason why some of the actors, if they play long enough that role, let's say of depression, they actually go into depression because that feeling goes now. So
My God.
Kiran, we also read all the literature available basically on the subject, Western and Eastern. And there's a lot talked about, about the brain. The brain controls your emotions, all that now. But we find a massive fallacy in that,
Oh,
basically. So fallacy is this now, that brain doesn't feel. It is translating the feelings into something. So the
okay.
feelings which are external to it, okay.
Oh,
So there is a mind which is feeling, okay. Then it accesses, like take the situation of uh, uh, you are sitting in a aeroplane and
right.
is jumping up and down. Now, jumping up and down itself is not a big thing because you pay a lot of money to go to Disneyland and experience the same thing in India. And you pay money for it and then you
Correct.
enjoy it. So, imagine what you're saying. So, therefore, that feeling alone is not the reason for
Ah,
emitting the fear signal.
there is a
It is,
context. Yeah.
yeah, the context is the knowledge of knowing that you are in aeroplane and you can die. Therefore, the feelings invoke memories and your knowledge. That knowledge is basically creates that fear. And fear is what then the brain goes into, and they display that the chemicals
Oh,
are thrown into your body.
fantastic, fantastic.
So then we realized the fallacy in Western thinking. Then we started looking inwards to our own scriptures, and luckily we found this Natya Shastra, which quite amazingly is much more detailed than any of the newer theories which were in there in the market now. There were a lot of details. Of course, they gave me only the base. Then we took 4 years, 5 years almost,
Wow.
to map people. Actually, we tested almost 7,000 people to test it, map, and kept on getting the feedback and kept on correcting it basically now. So initially we started doing the basically shoulder downward, like you shrug your shoulder,
Hmm.
uh, you bend your neck. They are all
Hmm.
signals, something which we monitor. Then we look at the eyebrows, we look at your lines on the forehead, we look at your 75 points. Initially, we were talking about 55 points, but as we kept on learning, we kept on increasing the kind of velocity. And then we track your eyes, where you are looking, essentially.
Hmm.
So all that is tracked as part of the input, and then the prediction is made. Initial predictions were about 65%. Now we are doing almost 95% accuracy.
Wow.
And people ask that, how do you know? I said, you sit in front of the camera, will tell you. You are the best judge. And when we were talking to some of the data scientists in Seattle, some of the top companies, AWS and Microsoft, they confirmed to me that this kind of AI development can only be verified this way because there's no norm. So
Wow.
ask the people how they feel, and if they are getting inputs and things like that, review whether it's correct and so on.
Yeah. So
That
here
is what.
I have to reveal that I have experienced this, and viewers, I will tell you, it's like Arthur Clarke said, is almost like magic because you just stare at this particular camera for just a minute, and it maps and it tells you exactly what you're feeling. LC, what are the use cases? Where all can this fabulous Emoscape be used?
So today we are talking to one of the topmost automobile companies. Better that I don't for competitive
Correct.
reasons,
Correct.
but we are putting in there possibly the top vehicles where the driver will be detected for competency to be able to drive. So
Right.
whether he's browsing or he's very angry, agitated, then the computer actually will do treatments for them, whether
And
music therapy or breathing exercises until they are fit for
right.
driving. It is for the manufacturer to determine if they want to shut off the vehicle in case.
Correct.
I'm saying those are the decisions they have to take. So that is a paid project. Already pilot has been passed, and now we are going to implement. There
Fantastic.
is another uh, manufacturer of a product where it is taste, and they are launching a new taste kind of something, and they brought in 50 tasters, okay, at one place, and they gave an unlabeled, basically, products were given to them
Correct.
of company
Blind test. Yeah.
and their own, okay, and they tested, and in their own word, they are miraculous results they got. They
Wow.
never got those results from questionnaire,
Mm.
because
Yes. Yes.
questionnaire people who were paid, they tended to say that they were very happy with it,
Correct. Correct.
like
Correct.
that,
Yeah.
yeah. So that
Also
bias.
hospitals, right? LC? Hospitals. You mentioned hospitals also can.
Hospitals already, in fact, I can name it. The hospital here, part of the Apollo Hospital in Pune, is already centered there. And serious patients, especially before surgery, whether they're very nervous, they're fearful, which happens all the time. It's a quite a universal practice worldwide that,
I see.
yeah, they are tested for their emotional balance if they are not they're fit for surgery and so on. So they are
Right.
tested for it, and if not, then they are put through number of
Some
kind
therapy.
of processes, yeah, to bring them down. In fact, something like that. I remember even in John Hopkins and all, they have
Okay.
even preachers and pundits to
Oh,
to come and normalize your emotions and so on. Now you have much more scientific way of measuring whether you are nervous. There they spend 1 hour just to talk to you,
wow.
whether yeah. So it's cuts and creates a massive efficiency and far more accurately can predict things. And then
So,
also looking at what remedies scriptures or own ancient things provide to bring down your emotions. And also the idea is that emotions are very important for your survival. So you're not elimination of emotions, it's putting them in balance. This as
right.
much was required for you to survive.
That's fantastic. So,
Sorry, just to
no,
interrupt
no,
you.
carry on, carry on.
Also, we obviously needed certifications from the psychiatrists and clinical psychologists who have been involved right from development. So 3 years back, when we started showing them, a lot of improvement also was caused because of their inputs and things like that. The basic practices in psychiatry, okay, and it is today endorsed by a number of psychiatrists, top psychiatrists in country. Also,
Wow.
we are currently in dialogue and we are going to do research with NIMAS, the Bangalore based government organization, on the mental health. So that's also going on. We are currently also um, talking to the golf organization for direct coaching to golfers, professional golfers, as to cricketers.
Fantastic.
We are talking to top academy in cricket for coaching the top cricketers. That see the skills sometimes gap between two top players is not much,
Yeah,
Kiran. It's basically the mental frame of mind, and we have
correct.
seen it. And you come, I'll show it to you. That, for instance, if we saw that one of the top golfers, when he was coming in Pune at the hole number 10, he was getting nervous. So when we discovered that why every time you come to 10 and you get nervous, then we discovered that the history behind, because some
Ah,
important tournament he had made
miss.
a mess and he's kept on. So he was able to be coached just on that particular. So it can
Fantastic.
pinpoint actually. While you are taking the shot, it picks up how you're feeling essentially
Wow.
that time.
It's
Because
revolution.
yeah, in my mind, the fear, as the confidence plays in favor of you, the
Yes.
fear is against you. So the
Yeah.
probability of success directly proportional, unsuccessfulness is proportional to the fear that you
Yeah.
carry.
I know a little bit about it because I do rock climbing. So,
Right.
audience, I don't want to name names, but what LC has done is also use this to check politicians who are making speeches, and he can tell you whether he's lying or telling the truth. So,
And
time
it
for
is
questions from the audience.
sure.
Please type in the remarks section below, and we'll show those questions to LC. Please go ahead. Anybody? Okay. Rochna, are there any questions or should we move on? Sorry about that. Okay. So, LC, um, I've thanked you many times in private for that excellent wine collection of yours, as well as trip to South Africa. So, it's time for me to thank you in public for being. Okay, there is a question. How do you assess the accuracy of the feeling captured? Go ahead. LC, just that's
As I
question.
said, the best is that test it yourself. So if you send us a video thinking about whatever you're thinking and send it across to us, we'll test and send you the results.
As simple as
You
that.
be the judge.
Right. Okay. Any more questions? Otherwise, we have run out of time. So, LC, thank you for this
Pleasure. Yeah.
revolutionary thinking of yours. And uh, two more thank yous to the audience for joining in this extremely different and not so corporate sage who has come and enriched our morning this morning. Thank you, everybody, and stay tuned for the next episode. Thanks, LC.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Bye bye.